much. How you doing?
Good evening. Welcome. Please rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Allow me to note the exits in the rear there, and the rear there, down a short corridor here.
I will call for the order of day.
Public hearing
Second.
regarding the on-site sanitary septic system. There's a second. Ruth, will you read the notice, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast will hold a public hearing at the John J. Dunford Civic Center, 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, on April 28, 2011, at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, as interested parties may be heard to consider a proposed local law entitled On-Site Sanitary Systems, pursuant to the provisions of the Municipal Home Rule, together with the environmental significance thereof, pursuant to the provisions of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The proposed local law would require property owners served by on-site sanitary septic systems to cause such systems to be inspected not less than every 5 years and to maintain records of such inspections as defined in the local law. Would require septage collections to keep records regarding septage removal and require that those records be filed with the town. Provide a certain waiver and provide penalties for failure to comply with the provisions of the local law.
Thank you, Ruth. We're here tonight to discuss on-site sanitary septic systems. Thanks. On-site sanitary septic systems as part of the MS4 initiative in our region. Graham, would you like to elaborate, please?
Certainly. Graham Trelstad from AKRF. I'm the town's planning consultant. This is one of the other requirements of the New York State DEC general permit for stormwater discharges for the MS4s. The town is a regulated MS4 or a municipal separate storm sewer system and has been made to comply with a number of broad-reaching provisions. This is one of the newest. East of Hudson communities, those that are in the New York City drinking water supply watershed east of the Hudson River, are required to, quote, develop, implement, and enforce a program that ensures that on-site sanitary systems, or septic systems as we commonly refer to them, designed for less than 1,000 gallons per day, are inspected at a minimum frequency of once every 5 years and, where necessary, maintained or rehabilitated. That's the language from the general permit. Under existing public health law or sanitary law, Putnam County Health Department will continue to be the primary agency that approves new septic systems and determines when septic systems are in failure and need to be repaired. Because the town is the regulated MS4 under the general permit, the new law that we're considering tonight requires that the town play a role in tracking which homeowners get their septic system inspected and then assisting in the enforcement. The town and I in particular have been working with other Putnam County municipalities and the county itself to develop a program that will minimize duplication of work effort between the towns and the county and between towns, and to rely on the county as the primary agency for licensing haulers, collecting data, and maintaining the database. The Putnam County MS4 Coordinating Committee, which is made up of all of the member communities in the watershed, recently sent a letter to the county executive and the chairman of the legislature asking the county to do 5 things. 1 is to develop an inspection form to be used by septic haulers. 2 is to maintain a database of those inspection forms. 3 is to license the septic haulers and require that they complete an inspection form for every home they visit. 4 is to educate the septic haulers on the use of the inspection form. And 5 is to address any potentially failing septic systems identified during an inspection, again, using existing sanitary code and the regulations they implement. What does this mean for a homeowner in Southeast? If you are on a septic system, this will apply to you. If you live in any of the wastewater treatment districts, this will not apply to you. But for many of you, it will apply. And in many respects, the process for you will not be new. the law requires that you pump out your septic system at a minimum of once every 5 years. Common sense and good practice suggests that every 2 to 3 years, depending on the size of your system and depending upon the amount of use you get, you should pump out your septic system. Although I don't know because I don't have a septic system, I understand that the average fee for pumping a septic system is about $300 to $500. I don't know if that's common up here, but that's what I understand. And you would hire a septic hauler to come to your house and to pump the system. The hauler must be able to open up the septic tank. They do not have to dig up the drain fields. They do not have to dig out the tank. They just have to open up the access hatch, be able to stick a line in there to draw or pump the wastewater out, and to be able to inspect the system visually. The hauler would complete a one-page inspection form that the County Health Department is currently developing. A copy of that form will be provided to the homeowner after the inspection is complete. A copy will be provided to the town, and a copy will be provided to the county. The county will then log that information into a database and share that information with the town as necessary, but the town will also get a copy so that it could keep track as it needs. The county will use the information on the septic inspection form to determine if there are any conditions that might suggest a failure or an imminent failure and whether or not a further investigation is warranted. The septic hauler, will not be responsible for making that determination. They will just be simply filling out the form and providing it to the town and the county and to the homeowner. If the county determines that a failure might exist, the county will make an investigation and possibly issue a notice of violation. That's, again, under the existing sanitary code. If you as a homeowner have been identified as having a potentially failing septic system, the law states, the current law states that a repair would have to be made as quickly as reasonably possible, and you can use any number of licensed contractors to make those repairs. The cost for implementing those repairs is your responsibility as a homeowner. You should be aware that there is an existing county septic repair program that in the past has provided low-interest loans to homeowners in certain areas within the county for repairs of septic systems. As I understand it, the county is currently looking to appropriate new funds for that program and to reevaluate the rules of eligibility such that more homeowners could be eligible for these no or low-interest loans. In the past, the program was only for certain priority areas around reservoirs, and I believe that the county is looking to expand that program to anybody who lives within the East of Hudson watershed. If adopted, if the town's local law is adopted and a homeowner does not comply within the 5 years given, the local law does establish a fine of $250 for the first offense, anywhere from $350 to $700 for a second offense within that same 5-year period, and $700 to $1,000 for a third offense within the 5-year period. So it kind of ramps up from $250 all the way up to $1,000 if you're determined not to be in compliance. Obviously, the intent is, if a violation is identified, to have that repaired as quickly as possible, and so the fines are staggered that way to encourage that. If adopted, the local law would take effect on May 1st of this year, and homeowners would have until May of 2016 to pump out their septic systems. If you have just had your septic system pumped out recently, you could wait until May of 2016 to pump it out again and still be in compliance. If you haven't had your septic system pumped out in a while, you could do it next week if this local law is adopted, and you would be then in compliance for that 5-year period. I should mention to the town board that if the town board does not adopt the local law and is later found not in compliance with the general permit by New York State DEC, the town could face fines of up to $37,500 per day. And the general permit does allow for some imprisonment of somebody who is held responsible for not implementing.
I guess that's you, Graham.
It must be me. I was going to say it was the full town board, but maybe it's me.
We'll all go together.
They are serious about this. Thank you. We do know that some communities have been found in violation, not specifically of this provision because obviously they haven't had the chance to implement, but other provisions as well. So DEC has been issuing violations to towns. So that's something to keep in mind. Last year we did successfully complete an audit by DEC, and we did pass that audit. But they are evaluating this. As I said before, this local law really does need to be adopted by May 1st of this year. We apologize. On behalf of the committee, we all apologize for the late start in this. Unfortunately, we had another program that the MS4 general permit requires, which is the stormwater retrofit program, that took a lot of our attention and delayed when we could address the septic maintenance program. So I'm sure that there are public questions, and I'd be happy to answer any of them or field them through the chair. On your agenda later on, after the other public hearings, we do have two actions. One is a resolution. There's an EAF for your consideration, and then there's a joint resolution that basically identifies this as a negative declaration that there wouldn't be significant environmental impacts under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and also adopting the local law. I think that's all I have to present. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have before we open it up to the public.
Very good. Thank you, Graham. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Yes, ma'am. Donna.
Will there be a fee to the homeowner for the inspection?
The question is, will there be a fee to the homeowner for an inspection? Graham?
The fee would essentially be the fee that you would pay the septic hauler for pumping out your system. So if you've been pumping your tank regularly, you would pay the same amount. The septic hauler would just complete the form and give you the copy of the form. So there's no additional fee that's envisioned, not from the town.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
If somebody, you said the inspection form is not yet available. So what happens if someone has their septic tank pumped next week? How would they comply with the requirement for inspection within a 5-year period?
That's a very good question. I think what we are working with the county health department to finalize that form. We feel that the county has an obligation to provide that form and to develop the database and manage the database. The towns didn't want to step in and take over that control. If you were to have your septic system pumped next week, I would just say keep a copy of the purchase order or the receipt that you might obtain from the hauler as a temporary way. But there will be, as we implement this program and move it forward, there will be a lag, I'm sure.
Now, is this inspection envisioned to be just a visual inspection, like integrity of the tank and for obvious problems, or is it going to be like a dye test or extensive?
No, at this point, a dye test or more intensive tests are not considered part of the inspection. What we understand DEC will accept is simply a documentation that the septic system has been pumped. But other questions that we're considering adding onto the inspection form is looking for the obvious signs of failure, whether it be ponding on the surface, whether it be conditions in the tank that suggest that the tank is not working or the system is not working. But yes, it will be based upon a visual test only.
In the back. Yes, Andy.
What you said that... Sir, would you mind coming up to the microphone so you can hear me? Thank you. My question is, have these haulers been licensed by the county already?
They have not yet been licensed, and that is one of the things that the towns would be relying on the county to do.
Okay, so how does this work in a timetable where you have to, in order to have your septic tank pumped by a licensed hauler and have this certificate created?
Right.
When none of these have been created by the county, and our deadline is 4 days away.
Understood. The deadline for the town to act is 4 days away. The deadline for homeowners to show compliance is 5 years away. So we do have time. Obviously, it would have been better to have everything kind of wrapped up in one package, but because of various circumstances, we couldn't do that. We were relying on the county to do a number of actions to make